0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Black and White United Show. I'm your host Andreas. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. In today's video we're going to be previewing the ANZAC Day clash, Collingwood-Essendon. It's the 30th anniversary of the ANZAC Day clash at the MCG, 3:20 p.m, 25th of April. Let's just get straight into it. Today's video is brought to you by New Homes Victoria, your local builder. Make sure you give them a like and a follow on Instagram. Okay, so Collingwood, Essendon, MCG, ANZAC Day. No matter where these teams are on the ladder, you can't separate them on ANZAC Day. We know the occasion. We know what's at stake. We also know that, the vibe of the season sort of flows on after this massive game. You can't write off Essendon and you can't write off Collingwood, regardless of where the two teams are. This game in particular, for us, there's a bit of spice in this one now because regardless of, as I said, where the teams are on the ladder and stuff, we have an opportunity to put a side away. We have an opportunity now to go for a kill. I watched the game between Essendon and West Coast. I watched some of the first half and all of the second half I watched. Essendon were clawing their way back to victory. I did feel it was one of those games where, very similar to our game against the Western Bulldogs, where all we had to do was hit the front and we could run on with it. Now, granted, the Bulldogs came back and we missed opportunities, whatever. I felt like all Essendon had to do against West Coast was just hit the front. To West Coast credit, they kept them for as long as possible. But even then, when Essendon hit the front, West Coast just still kept clawing and clawing back. Now, we know that West Coast aren't a decent side or anything like that. They will finish, second last on the ladder this year. The key for us is, and if I could see, and as Collingwood supporters, we can see a West Coast team doing it. I feel as if, we can do this quite well against Essendon, and that is suffocate their defenders with our forward line pressure. If we can get the ball in, I think the game is going to be won for us off our half back. You got Dan Houston coming back into the team now. He's going to get the ball and he's going to not run with it. He's just going to split the middle and bomb it down long to McStay. And I think that's where we can do some serious damage for them, and it's just get them off the rebound. As soon as they can't pressing, our half-back line holds up strong. We get the ball through Houston and we go down long. Then on the flip side, if it goes down to Josh Dacos, if he plays on the other half-back flank, which I think he will, he can get the ball and he runs with it as opposed to doing a big long kick. I just feel as if our half-backs are the guys that are going to win us this game. I feel like they're the ones that are going to instigate everything. And then when the ball goes into the forward 50, we have the forward line pressure. It's a bit disappointing Schultz isn't going to come back in for this game, but we've got other people. We've got McCreary, Elliott, Bobby Hill, etc. And our three big M's, because I think Membry will play, they can all apply big tackling pressure as well. When the ball hits the deck, we can swarm on their defenders. We have the capability to do this in this game. But also, in my mind, you need to respect the occasion and know that the opposition is going to rise for this game no matter what. Obviously, in my last video, I was pumping up, the Mason Cox, Darcy Cameron ruck combination, and I stand by that. I stand by that in every sort of facet of our game, that works, and the statistics don't lie. When they play, whereas 85, 90% of the time, we win when those two play. Now, ANZAC Day, the weather's looking like it'll probably rain at some point during the game. So, you probably don't want to go in with two talls. I do feel as if, though, that if it does rain, it might fall into Goldstein's hands a little bit better than what it would if it was fairly dry. But knowing that they're limited on their ruck stocks, we probably can afford the luxury not to play Mason Cox and Darcy Cameron. Now, do I want that to happen? No, but it will, because Membry is going to come back into the team. So, on this occasion, it is what it is. I'll shush and I'll understand, the teams are going to be selected, I think, tomorrow or later today. The teams will be selected and then the final side will be selected, obviously, on ANZAC Day. But regardless of what happens, I know that I am a big Mason Cox fan. I am a big fan of having the relief for Darcy Cameron in the ruck. I wish we have it for this game, because with their limited stock of talls, we can decimate them in the air. We can absolutely destroy Essendon going for big pack marks and stuff like that. When the ball hits the deck, we've got to be more alert. But I just think it's a way to win the game properly. But that's just my personal opinion. Players that we've got to watch out for Essendon that I think, because of the occasion, can have an absolute blinder, and that's Isaac Keiko. I've watched him pretty much all season, and he is lightning quick. He reads the pack amazingly. Obviously, it's only his first season, but we know when you've got stars coming into the competition and they get a bit of run on in that first year at a new environment, new workplace, they take every single opportunity and they absolutely run with it. And I just think that this game is meant for someone from Essendon side of things, someone like an Isaac Keiko to destroy our backline if he gets his hands on it. And I think he is definitely the one player to watch. Obviously, you've got your Zach Merritts, and I think Dylan Shill will probably have a good game too. Will Setterfield has fitted in perfectly to the Essendon side this year. Nick Martin is, a great footballer, let's be real. So, I mean, last week he kicked a goal. He got, let me check my disposal. He has 27 disposals, 26 disposals, so like he's a type of player that we have to watch. They've got dangers around the field. Collectively, though, as a side, we have the stars and we are a better team, I think, than them. So we should be able to counteract anything that they give us. But again, you got to respect the occasion. It's Anzac Day. Things can be different.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel. Just a quick message out there. If you haven't already, could you please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel? It would mean the world. We're getting heaps of views. The traction's been really good. But yeah, we'd love to get the subscribers up. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe, and you'll get your daily dose or your weekly dose of all things Collingwood for the fans, from the stands. Call it as you see it. And as always, guys, go the Pies.
So if I was picking my team for this game, I'd probably start Jordan De Goey as the sub and try and bring him on halfway through the third quarter, or sort of like towards the start to halfway of that third quarter, to then have an impact in the second half. That would be my thinking about it. The game against Brisbane, he obviously got a lot better as the game went on, which was fantastic. And he still finished with 2 goals, so he had that impact towards the end. He pretty much sealed the game for us. So I don't mind the idea of Jordan De Goey going in as a sub, especially if it's wet weather football. I would like to see players, like, we're going to see the Dacos boys dominate. We're going to see Dan Houston come back and have a great game. I mean, that's just the way that it's going to be regardless. But I want to see players like Ned Long, who's doing a fantastic job at the moment. If Hoskin Elliott plays again, I thought he was actually quite good last week. I'm not sure if he'll play, but if he does, he probably just sneak into the team. I reckon this game is meant for someone like him, regardless of the weather. He's one of those, not fringe players, but just those really good contributors who can do everything around the ground and who can pretty much win a game and be the X factor. Still, Sidebottom and Scott Pendlebury are going to do their thing. This is a game that's meant for Darcy Moore, Isaac Quainer, Braden Maynard to just flex their skills, flex their aggression, flex the jumper on Anzac Day, you know what I mean? And just push the ball out, your defensive pressure, tackle, and give their forwards absolutely nothing. In regards to the Anzac Day medal, if the Pies get up in this game, which I think we will, and I'm going to tip Collingwood by about 35, 40 points. If we get up in this game, I think Ned Long is going to win the Anzac Day medal. I've just got this feeling that he's going to have an absolute field day. Knowing that Nick Dacos will probably win it, I'd like to see someone like Scott Pendlebury win it for a bit of nostalgia, but I just think that this game's got Ned Long all over it. So I can see him winning the Anzac Day medal if the Pies win. I can see us winning by 35 to 40 points comfortably and just controlling the tempo of the game throughout the whole day. It's going to be massive. It's going to be one of those games where something's going to happen in this game where we're going to remember it and we're going to talk about it for a long time. Every Anzac Day's got them. Every Anzac Day has them. Off the top of my head, 2024 players are missing goals from easy angles, and it was a draw 23. Nick Dacos turned it up in the last quarter, and we came back and won. 21 Essendon, tore us apart. There was no game in 2020. You know, I think it was 2017, was it, or 2019? Tip and Woody's big tackle on Hoskin Elliott. Then if you go back all the way to the early 2000s, I mean, 2002, Mark McGough winning the ANZAC Day medal. You know, Buckley celebrating like this in the rain, even though he hit the post, whatever, Golden Pie spoilt the party. You know, 23, James Hird doing banana kicks, you know, from inside the Shane Warne stand, inside the bar, you know, on level one, and it just sailing through and taking the absolute piss. 2004, we lost Didak Specky. You know, there was just there's so many moments in ANZAC Day that bring out the best of, you know, the players. 2009, how can you forget Zaharakis, you know, spoiling the party in the wet. Us still in the reply in 2012 with Jared Blair's toe poke. You know, was it 2014? I think it was Swanee rubbing his tummy. I think it was 2014, or could have been 2012. Can't remember. But anyway, there's all these memories, and I can just spit them out. You know, then 95. You know, the draw, the first one. What's going to happen in 2025? What's going to happen on the 30th year anniversary of ANZAC Day? There's going to be something, and we're going to remember it. It's going to be amazing. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think about, you know, your memories of ANZAC Day, your memories of, you know, the last post. You know, then we want to talk about, you know, the build up to the game and stuff. And, you know, there's nothing better. I'll finish off with this. There's nothing better on ANZAC Day than standing there with your family and your mates and hearing the last post. And credit to the AFL in the last, you know, 5 years or whatever it is that they've brought in the New Zealand national anthem, because that's a G up. It is, and they should always have done that. The New Zealand national anthem, the Australian national anthem, the last post, and then as soon as they finish the Australian national anthem and they advance Australia Fair, the crowd gets up, they go nuts, people are cheering, the siren goes, and as the players are separating, going back to their, you know, spot to do like the last minute warm up, or the captains to give a bit of a pump up speech, the drums from the guys in the army as they're walking off and taking the flagpoles down are in the background. I can hear it now, and they're doing it as the play. It's just such a G up, and it's such an emotional game. You get goosebumps. It makes you proud to be an Australian, makes you proud to be wherever you're from. You know, to come here and to be able to celebrate a day like this and with your family and your friends, and, you know, pay your respects to people who have served this country. And, you know, football is just a tiny part of this day now. It's just a tiny, tiny little part of this day, but it brings us together to remember how big the actual day is. So leave a comment and tell me what you think about this ANZAC Day game in particular, your tips, your medalists and stuff, how you think the Pies are going to win. Tell me what you think. Call it as you see it. And as always, go the Pies.